Alright, so, little background. This is technically my third Daytona gun. Obviously, if you watch my YouTube channel, you know my first one was my M240. I did have a GMP M4 Daytona, but I sold that probably a few months after I got it to buy this M27 Daytona. Pretty much the M27 is the kind of new rifle for the Marine Corps. Actually, the reason why it's called the M27 is for the Unit 27 in the Marine Corps. So, a little interesting fact. Also, the M38 sort of DMR is pretty much an M27 with a different scope. M38 has also got its name same as the M27 for the Unit 38. So enough about that little. So like, I will be sort of comparing this M27 VFC Daytona to my GMP M4 Daytona, because they are internally pretty much the same. There's a few little differences, obviously, with the dimensions of the bolt and the trigger group, but pretty much both of the guns look different, but internally they're the same. They're made by two different companies, but the kits are the same. Now, I'm not saying they're interchangeable. You can't take a bolt from the GMP kit and put it in this kit, because VFC, GMP, all these companies, they build their gas blowback rifles to little bit different specs. So anyway, so this is a gun. The M27 is pretty much a longer version of the H&K 416. H&K 416 has a shorter, more M4 profile barrel. This has a 16-inch heavy barrel. Airsoft, it doesn't really matter too much that it's a heavy barrel, but in real life, the heavy barrel just means you can have more prolonged full auto. The barrel is less likely to warp or get destroyed by too many rounds and heat. Let's see, it has a little bit longer rail, very similar to a regular 416 rail, just longer. The body is pretty much the same. The only difference would be the magwell doesn't have that sort of angled cut. It's more of a flat, parallel cut. What else? This is not the original grip. This is a MOE K2 Plus grip. This came with the gun. I got this gun secondhand. I'm trying to source a H&K 416 grip, so it'll be more correct as a clone rifle. It's supposed to have an ambidextrous safety and fire selector. This side is missing the lever, so it's not ambidextrous anymore. Not really too big of a deal, but I need to get that. So yeah, it's got the M27 416 type stock. It's got a mil-spec buffer tube. So yeah. Now, externally, VFC did a great job. You have a steel outer barrel, steel bayonet lug, got a steel gas block. There's a lot of steel on this gun out the box. Obviously, the receiver is aluminum. I believe the rails are also aluminum. So, I mean, unlike real ARs, they are also aluminum. You got the Knight's Armament style backup iron sights, front and rear. The rear one is more of just a regular. There's no adjustment for any type of elevation. You got windage, obviously, but no elevation. What else? Let's bring you in a little bit closer. Get the trademarks here. M27, it gives you the caliber, HK, the USMC serial number, as well as on the other side, you just got HK markings. What else? The bolt, if you had the gas blowback version, which this used to be, but the original bolt did have HK engraved right in here. Just like all HK 416 type rails, you got one screw, one bolt right here. Take that out, you can take the whole rail system off. I'm not gonna really do that right now. Another thing about the barrel, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, the barrel is two pieces. It pretty much unscrews about here inside, so do have to be mindful of that. I did have to find a bunch of washers, and I Loctited it just so it wouldn't move. Externally, that's about it. To get in internals, since this is a Daytona kit, just like all the regular M4 style Daytona kits, you only punch out the front takedown pin. You can remove, and they do recommend you remove the rear one just so the valve has a little more movement. So when you're separating the uppers, you do have to sort of lift up and go at an angle, but I haven't had to. Daytona kit, obviously, like all Daytona kits, uses AEG inner barrels, so I'm not really going to go into that. This is your bolt. Very similar to old, pretty much Daytona. You got your tank, which is that brass piece right here. You got your air shaft. So they are all similar, they just made to fit in different bodies. That's your hop-up unit, feed, whatever you want to call it, your feed tube. It's pretty simple. There's not much to the upper. Your hop-up adjustment, like on all Daytonas, is at the top. It's sort of a TDC, top dead center type hop-up system. Get the upper out the way. The lower is the interesting part. So, unlike pretty much most Daytona M4 type kits, you have two options to running your air hose. You can run your air hose like this, straight out the back of the receiver. I find that to be a little bit easier, especially if you're a guy that likes to go prone. I would recommend this. If you want to go out the grip, you can though. It's as simple as on the air valve, you just take out a grub screw and you just swap the holes that the hose screws into. And then obviously you got to drill out a big enough hole for your airline to come out through here, which I'll show you. I actually did that to my friend's Daytona, which I built for him. I don't know if this was just my M27 or because I got it used. The valve, when you had the pin through it, had a lot of side-to-side play. Right now there's no play at all side-to-side. What I did, if you can see, I put two washers on each side of the valve. I pretty much had to sort of very crudely shove them in. So if I want to take this pin out, I gotta hammer it out. If I want to take the valve out for anything, it's gonna be a lot of work because it's very stuck in there. For the actual trigger unit, on safe, obviously nothing happens. You do see these levers move, but they are not depressing the valve at all. When I go to semi, this with the brass knob, that is your semi-auto lever. So when you push it, it pushes the valve, the bolt goes back, pushes down on the brass, and releases the valve. So that's your semi-auto lever. On full auto, this flat one right here is your full auto lever. That will now be allowed to go up and push on your valve. And as you see, The semi-auto lever just moves up and down, doesn't do anything. So that's how that works. Let's see what else. The mag well, depending on what mags you use, you might not have to file it out. I believe it's a SEMA M4 Stenag mid cap, just that regular metal mid cap magazine from SEMA. That fit in, no issue. I had to file a little bit, just a little bit, for that mag to freely fit. But even without modification, the mag did fit. It was just very stiff. I am using the Firepower mid-cap magazines. They look just like regular Stenag style mags. Sort of a gray parkerized finish. They're mid-caps. These look like standard mags. Those mags I did have to file quite a bit. I spent a good 30 minutes just filing and test fitting, and I got those working. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The only difference really, obviously, besides what body or what gun it fits between the GMP and the VFC M27 or 416, the only difference is the Daytona GMP kit actually has bolt lock. So when you use the KWA ERG mags, the ones that have the little lever to cut off on the electric gun, that little lever would also push up on the Daytona kit bolt lock to actually lock the bolt on empty. It's the only kit Daytona makes that will lock back on empty. All their other kits are just, you have to pay attention. I am working on making this bolt lock. I'll show you what I've done is on the regular VFC 416 or M27 bolt lock for the green gas version. There's a nub right here that would lock your bolt back. You grind that down totally flat, so it's just a flat surface, and it will catch on this lip right here. If you can see that lip, that's where it'll lock back, just like on the GMP. I'll actually get, alright, like I was saying, the bolt catch locks right here, but I'll get my friend's Daytona that I built for him. He has the GMP just like my old one, which has bolt lock. So it's a work in progress. It locks the bolt back, but only manually. Unlike I can't get it to work with mags just yet. I'll show you the differences, but right, it will lock back. So you just gotta press down on the bolt lock, and boom, it locks back. So give me one quick second and I'll go get my friend's GMP. Alright, this is my friend's GMP. Sort of made his GMP into a sort of Mark 12 DMR, but pretty much once I get this apart, you'll see that both kits are pretty much the same. So they all look the same. They're just machined to different tolerances to fit different kits, but they all work. They all work the same. Sort of same looking valve. They have the same looking bolt, same looking hop up. They're just made for different bodies. The only difference being GMP kit. The GMP M4 kit actually has bolt lock. Daytona includes with the GMP kit this new modified bolt catch, and as you can see, it has that little arm that goes down. So when you have the KWA ERG mag, when it's on empty, will push up on the bolt lock. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is I need to mod my bolt catch, since right now it's just flat. It has a vertical, not vertical, but just a horizontal arm coming out. I need to, I think I'm gonna weld on like an L bracket or something. I'm just gonna weld on a piece of metal that will go down, and then after that I just gotta grind until it's the right length to lock the bolt back. So very similar kits. Like I said, the only differences between these kits is that they're made for different bodies. Other than that, they all generally work the same. They use a lot of the same parts. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I am definitely gonna get another GMP Daytona. I have a spare GMP body that I have laying around in parts and pieces, and I might do a Mark 12 like my friend, or I might do a Mark 18. Still sort of deciding right now what I want to do. So that is the GMP M27, with a little side note on the GMP Daytona M4. Did I just say GMP M27? VFC M27 Daytona, GMP Daytona M4. So I hope that gives you a little insight. I'll definitely do some more videos on the M27. And if I decide to make another Daytona GMP, I'll do a build video for the GMP like I did for my M240. It's actually not as hard as people think it is. It's actually quite easy build to do, as long as you got the right tools and you got the right amount of skill.